For today's project, I'm going to make this Banggood Christmas tree, LED Christmas tree kit, which comes with 3 circuit boards, transistors down here, capacitors, resistors, a couple of connections, and of course the LED lights. Now, if like me, you're colourblind, we have a slight problem working out the resistors on here, so I'm just going to quickly show you the results using the component tester. So here's my component tester. So let's just put our first resistor in. There we go. I can test this to see what the value is. And that is going to be the same as the 47k resistors, which are on the circuit board around here. 4.7k it says, so that'll be the 4.7k. So let's check the other one. Okay, let's see what this says. $98. So that'll be the same as the 100 resistors there. There's 100 ohm resistor, and that's marked on the circuit board there. Okay, so that's that one done. That's just to help people like me who are colourblind. And if you're interested, let's just pop a LED on there. See if that tests. You can see the LED flashing. There we go. So this has got a couple of diodes in it. Must be a multicoloured one. And let's just try a capacitor in there as well, just to see what that looks like. And there we go, that's the readings for the capacitor. Now, luckily on the board the capacitors are all the same, 47 UF, 53 UF, so we're okay. As you can see, I've now mounted the first circuit board onto my little vice rig here for soldering circuit boards. I can easily twist it around to give me access to both the front and the back. So let's start off, and as usual I'm going to start off with my favourite, which is the resistors. So all we're doing is simply just pushing them through and then just bending the legs just very slightly to hold it in place like that. First one, second one's down here. Again, just twist that around so you can see. There we go. So just slightly bending those legs to hold it in place. And then the third one over here. And there we go. So let's solder those up. There we go. They're quite nice. Snip off the legs. Now, just a comment about that. Just save the yogs. I always save these because you never know when little legs, little connections like this will come in handy. And there's a future project coming up when I'll be using quite a few of these little legs for a little project which I'll be showing you. Great, so that's those 3 resistors done there. And let's do the next ones now. So these are the 4.7s. The legs don't break. There we go. To bend the resistors, a little bit of pressure just to the side. There we go. 4.7 there. And just there. Okay, so let's get them soldered up. Great, handy little jig this, very handy to for your circuit boards for soldering. Make it so easy just to twist the boards round and keep your hands free. Great, so next is the capacitors. So for the capacitors, we have a plus and a ground or negative on the board. The capacitors have a marking just here with a minus on it, and also the positive leg is slightly longer as well. So the positive leg, or the longer leg, goes on the positive side. Push that in place. Again, very slightly bend the legs. So that's one. Again, positive goes there, longer leg. Now there's 2 capacitors next to each other, so what we'll do is we'll solder one in place first, and then we'll do the other one. Redo that one, it's not quite taken. There we go. Good. There we go, that's the capacitors in place, those 2. Now we can do the other one that goes here. Okay, brilliant stuff. So next things we'll do then are the 3 transistors that fit there. So next thing we're going to do is the transistors. Now these are these transistors, if we can look at that end, they have a flat side and a rounded side, and on the circuit board again you've got the print on there to show the flat and the rounded. So we'll just simply put that in the same as what the pattern on the board is. No need to bend the pins on these because they're quite tight, so they should hold themselves in the circuit board without moving. So just push them up there. As you can see, they've just fitted in quite nicely, and this one is the flats on the bottom all the way around. So again, just slide that in there like that, and then we should be able to just solder those legs in place. Now you don't want to keep the heat on these too much, and that's why you'll see me dabbing the soldering iron on, because I don't want to keep the heat too long on those components. Okay, so let's just nicely solder those legs in place. Great. So that's the main components for this board done. So the only thing left now are the LEDs, the diodes, all around the edges here. So that's our next job. So the LEDs that we're going to use that came with the kit, again, that same as capacitors, you've got a long leg and a short leg. The long leg is the positive and the short leg is the ground or the negative. So positive, negative, and again our board, look, as you can see, has been marked positive and negative. So long is positive. Now I'm going to guess that although that's not marked with a positive, all the rest are on the same side, the right hand side, so I'm going to guess that that one is also plus, and down here, look, they're all the same again. So let's put that in place. Now what I'm going to do is leave these slightly above the circuit board, and you can see there's a little flat bit on the legs, so where the LED won't push. If I really forced it, they'll go further than that, but I'm not going to. So again, I'm just going to bend the pins out slightly just to hold it in place. And you'll also see that I've missed one out, and I'll do the same over here, and that's just to make it easier for soldering later on. Okay, so that's got the first few on, so let's get them soldered up, shall we? Okay, now looking at it, that last one hasn't quite connected properly, so let's just reheat that. That's better. There we go. And we'll chop the legs off. So I'm not going to record the whole lot, so I'm going to just pause the video slightly now. I shall solder the rest of the LEDs and then I'll come back to you in a moment. So the rest of them are exactly the same. Going over the board, just remembering the connections for the plus and the ground. Okay, so again I've missed ones there which I shall catch up to later. One's around here and the one's down there. So I'll just pause and I'll come back to you in a minute. So about halfway through now, and as you can see I've soldered both sides and I've missed every other LED just to make it easier for soldering. And there's the reverse of the board. So now I'm going to now solder and put in the missing LEDs. So as you can see now, all the LEDs are on the tree, on the circuit board, and on the flip side I've chopped off all the legs as well. Now these connections in the middle aren't actually connected to anything. What will happen is when the two parts of the circuit board slide together, you'll just solder those up just for a bit of extra support, but we'll come back to that later on. So now everything's done on this board, we can give it a quick test. So all the LEDs are now in place, as you can see, that side and that side. And if we twist the board round, all the legs have been chopped off as well. Now, as you can see, I've slightly rearranged the board within the vise here. This is so I can just do a quick test. So I've connected some batteries, or I've put some batteries into the battery holder. And so what I'll do now is connect these up. So first of all we'll do the positive. Just connect the little crock clip on that, like that. And we'll do the ground, the negative as it's shown. Hey, look at that. So know that that board's working all right. So now I can start work on the next board. So here's the next board. This is the A board, as it says there, and the one we've already done is the B board. So I'm just going to mount it in my little circuit board vise here. Right. Push that under tension and tighten it up. So there we go. So now I've got access to both sides. Now this one is slightly different because there is a LED right at the end here, which I won't do until later on. Now the reason why I don't do that till later on is because, as you can see, the B circuit board will slide in like that, and if you solder the LED right at the end, then you won't be able to get the other board on. So we'll do all the components exactly the same as the B board, except for the LED right at the end. So there we go, that's the other board now done. As you can see, the resistors and transistors and capacitors are laid out slightly differently on board A compared to board B, but the idea is exactly the same as you've seen. Positives, don't forget, for the diodes, the values, don't forget, for the resistors, the capacitors, don't forget, for the plus and the ground or the negative, and the transistors, the flat and the curved side. Of course, one thing I've forgotten, which I did say earlier on, is the one at the top, and we can't test it until that is in place as it bridges over. So I can't test this board until I get the other board in, and then I can solder that LED in. So let's join these two circuit boards together now and see how that goes. So just before we put these two circuit boards together, one of the jobs that we've got to do is to bend these LEDs so they're pointing outwards like that. So simply bending them over. That's it. So they just will show when the tree is put together. So it's bending those over. There we go, and then the other side. And that's again why we left that little bit extra above the circuit board, so we've got enough to bend the diodes over. Okay, that's one done. Okay, so that's all those done. So let's now try and get it together. Okay, see a slight problem here is that the two capacitors here are just touching each other, but that should be all right because the base are all together there, so slight touching there, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. And don't forget we've got the LED at the top to do as well. So let's just check our other circuit board. So these two are positive, mark the plus here, and then these two are negative with the minus sign there. And as you can see, the track on the circuit board are connected and the track on the circuit board is connected. So here we have a plus just there and a plus just there and a minus there, or neg on ground that side. So we know that these two, this one and this one, are plus, so they must go into there and there. Okay, and that's how it's going to fit on the board, like so. Okay, let's get that held into place somehow and let's get it soldered up. So as you can see, I'm now holding this in place. Not entirely sure how this is going to go, but I've got my solder here and I'm going to try and get a dab of solder in that corner there. So let's go, let's see if this works. Oh, that looks like it's worked all right. Let's twist that around a bit, push that into place without burning my finger. again, twist it around a bit. See if we can get these on out. My thumb underneath just touching the track that I just soldered. Okay, let's get this one in place. Okay, and finally this one down here in the corner. Hope you can see all that all right on the video. Okay, now I should be able to let go now. Ouch. Yes, that's all soldered in. So what I'm going to do now is just re-solder those, both sides. Now it's all held in place. Wow, I hope you can see that all right. To put it back in my vise. And now I'm going to be able to flood solder these now. And the last bit, you can see that all right. Okay, let's have a quick look at those. Sure it's all in place. Looks really good to me. Checking this side. A bit of a blob, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, great stuff. So don't forget now we've got to do the extra LED right at the top here. So we've got one left to do, this LED right at the top. So put that in, he says. Here we go, that's it, it's got it. Just popped out. Let's do that again. There we go. So just hold that in place while we just very quickly solder it up. Okay, that's that one done. So we'll just bend that up slightly because it's the top of our tree. Crop the legs off it. Okay, let's sort out some power. So there's a couple more components that we can do on this. First of all, there's the switch that we need to put on there. We need to put that just at the side there, and if it'll go on. There we go, got it. So there's a switch that we need to solder in place. Now this circuit board has got jumper, buzzer, a couple of more transistors down here. Now the kit that I bought doesn't have those in, so there's no need to solder those. We do have a port position for a plug, which I'm not going to use, but I am going to solder a couple of wires directly onto here to make it easier. So we'll get battery on there, a couple of connections for the battery on there, and we'll solder that switch in place as well. Okay, so let's get this switch soldered in place. First of all, the casing is to hold it in place as I solder up. And then the legs, let's get them in place. Clean this soldering out, typical big blob of solder was on it. Great. Okay, that's that done. Now for the battery connection, which is here, like I said, I can use the sockets, but I'm going to use some of these pin connectors, which I'll cut off and I'll solder into place on there. So I'm going to solder underneath onto there, which will be fine. So let's just grab a couple of these out. So that will go on there. Hopefully without burning my finger, we should be able to get that soldered in place. So I'm just going to put a bit of a dab of solder on the end of my soldering iron. Hopefully do this quick, because if you're not, your finger starts to burn. Ow, 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 ow. There we go. When it's in place, hopefully it should stay in place. There we go. And that's that one done. And then the other one. That's got a bit of a casing broken on that one, so let's discard that one, get a fresh one done. That's better. Right, let's do that again. Let's just hold that in place. Dab a solder on the end of my soldering iron. Dab a solder on the pin to hold it. And then let's just quickly solder this on. There we go. Okay, brilliant. That's that done. So now taking it out the vise, Just a quick test, a quick look just around the circuit board, make sure everything's in place, make sure nothing has moved, make sure everything is soldered up. That's that top one up there. Okay, exciting part. Let's connect the power and see if it works. So we use our batteries as before with a couple of clips. Positive goes that side. Moment of truth, guys. And just bend that pin slightly away from that because it's a bit close. Just going to bend that pin round there. That's better. Hey, there we go. Test the switch. Yep, that works all right. Check all the LEDs around, make sure they're all working. Multicoloured LEDs. There we go. That seems to be working great.